The January 27th, 2026 special elections are done, and we got some stuff to talk about here at Election Yard. Now, there were only two special elections on the board on Tuesday, January 27th. One of them was an unopposed race. We will briefly mention that. The other one is only interesting, not in necessarily the final result. The final result, given where the seat was, seemed pretty clear. But the margin, I think, is something that people might be talking about on Wednesday. So let's start first with the 47A House District in Minnesota, that special election. Now, one thing that you will notice about both of these seats is that both are in the greater Twin Cities area. So 47A is maybe a little bit to the east of the Twin Cities. It does touch Ramsey County, which is where St. Paul is, and then moves into the county to the east. So it only just touches upon the Twin Cities area, whereas the other district that we're going to talk about is entirely within the city of St. Paul. Now, this district, 47A, this is only worth a minor mention because the Democrat was not running against anyone in particular. The Democrat here was Shelley Buck, and of course, she was only running against write-ins, so she won the election by a margin of about 95 points because there were only 48 write-in votes. So obviously, what we like to do after elections like this is we like to talk about whether a party overperformed or underperformed vis-a-vis the 2024 presidential election. But whereas there was no Republican opponent, it would be really difficult for us to make any proclamations there. So we're just going to show you the result for 47A and move on to the far more interesting one, which was Minnesota House District 64A. Now keep in mind too that going into this, the Republicans had a 67 to 65 majority. And with the Democrats winning both of these seats, the House of Minnesota once again is tied 67 to 67. But if you're looking at this map right here for 64A, you can probably just barely make it out. There's that little blue speck in the middle of St. Paul, the capital city of Minnesota. That's where this district is. This is a heavily Democratic district, but I gotta just put these margins up on the screen. These are something else. So the Democratic candidate in this race, last time there was a general election here in 2024, they got 83% of the vote. The Democratic candidate, Meg Lugar-Nicolai, got 95% of the vote. The Republican candidate, there was a Republican candidate here, Dan Walsh. He got 4%. These are not typos. This is actually what happened. Do you have any idea how hard it is to have a 12-point swing to the Democrats in a seat where you got 83% of the vote last time? I mean, this is as close to a unanimous election result in a competitive election that you are going to see anywhere. I mean, these are like Kim Jong-un numbers. Like, this is crazy. 95.3%. And the final margin there, the Democratic candidate won it by 91 points. That's crazy. Even for a place like St. Paul, that's pretty crazy. So now you're going to ask the question, did the Democrats overperform 2024 in this seat? The answer is yes. Kamala Harris got about 84% here last time. Donald Trump got 13. So Kamala Harris won this district by 71 points. The Democrats on Tuesday, the 27th, won it by 91. That is a 20-point Democratic overperformance in a seat that they won by 70 points already. I mean, these numbers are absolutely astonishing. And I know you got to put the regular caveat in there. It's a special election. You're going to get sometimes crazy results. But like this, I haven't seen one like this yet. This is absolutely wild. But so the Democrats obviously winning this seat. They win both special elections. So far out of the 12 special elections, the Democrats have won 9. The Republicans have won 3. In terms of over performances versus the 2024 presidential election, there are 10 Democratic over performances now, 1 Republican, and 1 where the race was unopposed. So we can't say one way or another, but let's just bring this in for a bit. We just gave you the results. We just talked about how the results look compared to 2024. Let's talk a little bit about what this means. Minnesota has been in the news a lot recently. And it seems like every day something else bad is happening there. We asked the question, we did a video about a week ago at the time we released this, talking about the Minnesota Senate race. And we had done another one too, talking about the governor's race. The question that I posed in the last video was, given everything going on up there and all the unrest, is there going to be any sort of a political backlash in Minnesota? I guarantee you, if you go on social media tonight, some people who are talking about this election will say yes. So obviously, to that point, I would say two things. One, I don't know what is in the minds of the people who went to the voting booth on Tuesday, the 27th. And furthermore, you don't want to read too much into any one thing, but also keep in mind, you had a Republican candidate for governor just a day or two ago drop out of the race, essentially saying, our party's brand in this state is shot right now and I can't win. So definitely keep an eye out if there's more special elections, other sorts of political activity in Minnesota to see what's going on. And of course, there is a human element that transcends all the politics. But since this is a political channel, we talk about the politics. If you want to know if there's any sort of political backlash growing, there's a small amount of data to speak to that so far. But just keep an eye out because you might be able to connect some more dots soon. The sample size might get bigger. And that will clue us into how things might go in Minnesota politically for the rest of this year. But I'm sure that everything going on in recent days and weeks up there was on the minds of at least some people that showed up to vote. So in terms of special elections, it's on to the next one. We've got more on February 3rd. And for more on those, Election Yard, like and subscribe. Follow us on social media. We'll see you soon.